Hello and welcome back for a new ASMR chess video. Today I'm going to solve some puzzles with you, starting with this one, and it's white to play and I suppose win. We are in check, so we need to find a way to escape the checks. We have an extra rook and an extra pawn, so definitely a good position, but we have to find a way to avoid the checks. My first instinct is to go queen to h5, because I could potentially bring my queen back to defend. So if he were to come to check me somewhere, for example, king to h5, queen h2, queen h4, this queen to e5 check. I'm not so sure about this one. Maybe king to h6, but now we have no, because now we would have checkmate, so that does not work. So king to h5, queen to h2, I don't have queen to h4, because he could just come back with the check over here, or he could come there, but then we would have a repetition. And if I move over here, I can just come with check, in threatening checkmate if I go back. So let me just put this on the board for you. Check. 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 And I would get checkmated. Like this. So that's definitely not what I want. So I'm eliminating king to h5. It gives me two more options, king to h4 and king to f5, running the other way, and maybe going to hide somewhere over there. King to f5, running in the middle of the board, doesn't seem too bad actually. King to h4, I don't know how I'm going to be making some progress, because again, queen to h2, I'm forced to go back over there. So queen to f5 seems to be the move, and I feel like there is no, I mean, you can keep some checks. King to f5, for example, queen takes pawn, king to e5, queen check. I could take over here. My queen is defended by my rook, and at some point I might be able to just either take the pawns and then defend myself with the queen or with the rook, something like that. So I am going to play king to f5. I'm going to put this in the computer. We have king takes, queen takes, and I'm pretty sure queen to e5 is the move. So queen to e4. Now I can just take the queen, right? No, I'm looking at the wrong side. But I can just draw back. Queen is defended by the pawn. King to d6. Only move, so it's an easy move to play. And the puzzle actually stops here. And it's a pass, because there is not really anything that the queen can do. If we try something like this, I can just at some point escape. At some point, if you try and keep the checks, you can just move like this, check, like this, check, check, not queen to c7, actually, check, and now there is no more checks, and then I can consolidate it. I can start giving checks of my own, threaten to exchange the queens, for example, check, check, king has to move. If he goes over there, it would be checkmate, or we not checkmate, but we would win the queen. And if the king moves over here, can probably go over there, threatening to take the pawn and force the exchange of queen. So this would be winning. And so let's move on to the next position. Alright, so we have our second puzzle. This time it's black to play. And I assume win. There is no rook over there, sorry. No pawns. I did not put the position really well. Okay, so I assume the goal is to win, and I assume the puzzle is not to see rook to d6 that would win the queen, but it's to see how to win once that you have taken that. You can force the exchange of queens, so the king would be over there, and it would be black to play again. We need to play this move now, otherwise the queen can move, and we are going to be losing the game, so this is forced. So I don't know exactly which move the puzzle is going to play, but basically all of this is forced. And now we have to win this, and we cannot really allow the king to go too close over there, although I think that would still be winning. If we end up playing no g4, if the king moves away, I can play g3, and this would be winning because the king has to stay at the defense of this pawn to prevent it from promoting, and then we can run all the way over to a5, take this pawn, and promote. And if white takes, I can push this pawn, and you can see that the king is not in the square. So if I push this, pawn takes, I can push, and if you draw the square, white is one tempo too late. So I'm just going to check with the engine, but I'm pretty sure that this is the move. So just let's quickly come back to this position. The engine does not take, but plays, or the computer plays this. And I believe both of these moves are winning, which is a little bit puzzling to me. Usually in these puzzles, there is only one solution. So if I take this, the pawns are preventing the king from coming. So if I take, king has to go over there. Maybe he can come back to stop me. So if I were to take, king over there, I'm never going to be able to promote. But the king is never going to be in time. Is it? Actually, it might. I'm just playing this really quick, but this is why this does not work. So let's go back in the position. That's why it's important to do the move I talked about. It's g3, because now there is no more of that business, and now we can run all the way, take this pawn, and promote either this one or this one. And if at any point, like when we move over there, the king tries to go after this pawn, we push and we promote. So it's an easy win. Alright. Let me set the position for the next puzzle. It's white to play this time. If you notice that these are all endgames, that's because I set the settings to have only endgames puzzle for one very simple reason, or two maybe, is that endgame puzzles are easy to set up, less pieces to set on the board. So that's practical reason. And the second reason is I like endgames. So I do like endgame puzzles. So black just played b5. And it's white to play. Black has 4 pawns versus 2. And it's the same color bishop endgame. So opposite bishop color endgames are usually very drawish, even when 2 pawns up. but same color endgames are usually winnable most of the time. So this pawn is threatening the capture. I'm pretty sure we don't want to allow him to take and to take, because now the bishop can just sacrifice itself for the pawn, and there is zero win potential, and there are too many pawns over there. So the question I'm asking myself is, do I capture on b5, or do I push my pawn? I also see that this bishop is threatening this pawn, which is an issue, but I also notice that this bishop is on the diagonal from this winning pawn, this pawn. So if I play a5, bishop takes, I play a6, there is no more stopping the pawn. So a5, bishop takes, a6, the bishop cannot come back on this diagonal. Or it can, for example, it can go check and then push, but for starter I could just take the bishop back if I play with my king over there. But even after that, when you push the pawn, I can just push to a7, and this bishop is covering over there. If I play a5, you would need at least two tempes for the bishop to come and cover this square. So for this reason, I believe the move is a5. Let's just quickly calculate a takes b5. A takes b5. We have bishop to e6, pawn push, bishop to c8. And if you go with the pawn, I can sacrifice my bishop, maybe, and then I can push this pawn. So bishop takes, g5, and I'm just going to go over there. And that should be enough for black to at least hold the draw, even though there is this pawn that could potentially promote, but the bishop is temporarily in the way of the pawn, and at some point this bishop is going to have to sacrifice itself, I believe. So I'm going to play a5. We have bishop to h7, which is an interesting move, and I did not consider that. I should have, because it's a good defensive resource. The point is that if I push my pawn, he can take, and now he pushes this, and I can push, but he promotes first. And even if he did not promote first and I promoted, he would promote with check, winning my queen. So that would not work. But the thing is, I cannot capture this bishop as well, either, because bishop takes, and g6 is surprising, but it traps my bishop, and if I try to save my bishop, I'm too late to stop the promotion. So I feel like I just need to move my bishop, but I can't because my king is in the same diagonal. If I push, bishop takes, king takes, push, 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 that doesn't work right. So a6, bishop takes, king takes, a7, h2. But I have a6, bishop takes, king takes. No, he push. I'm not in time to get over there. Bishop takes, g6, king, e3, and I'm not in time to stop this pawn. So this is puzzling me. So this is a good puzzle. I thought that I had it figured out, but not quite. So somewhere there is something I can do. I know that because this is a puzzle. There is no losing positions in puzzle. Maybe sometimes you have to find a way to draw a losing position. But alright. What else can I try? Bishop takes g6. a6, h2, a7, a1. Or I can play a6, bishop takes. No, I cannot move my king, because then he could push. If this were another piece, maybe I could promote. Because even if he promotes, I have a queen over there, and there's this in the way. What am I missing? I'm missing something, but I don't know why. Or what? I'm feeling like bishop takes, and then g6, bishop g8, h2, and now I can come back actually. So I said something that was wrong, which is why it's important to verify and to double check what you're thinking. So bishop to g8, and the pawn is just going to go over here and defend. If he goes king to e5, I don't have king to c4 actually. So wait 1 second. Bishop to g8, king to e5. What do I do then? Do I have this and take? No, that doesn't work. So this and then king to e5. And I don't have king to c4 over there. That would be a saving grace. But now maybe I have bishop takes, a bishop d5. Because now king takes, I can push. And now I promote second, but the king is in the way. So this is the move. We have king to e5, bishop to d5. And that's actually not the move. That's wrong, the engine is telling me. So let's see why. Here I could just promote and win the queen. So this is not correct. And I don't know why. So let's come back in this position. There is something for black to all this. I'm really confused. And here, even more, there is something for white to win. I admit I'm confused. So I'm going to go check with the engine and I'll come back to you in a second. Alright, so I found the solution. It's a cool idea actually. The actual solution is a6. And if h2, now I can play this. And now this works. Because you take and I can push a6. And the difference is that in the line I played, bishop to d5, king takes, a6, king to c6 is in time to stop the pawn, which is something I overlooked, and which is why it's important to consider everything. And with that said, I'm going to go to the next puzzle. We have black to play this time, and we have a rook endgame. I'm going to keep 2 pawns. Obviously keep the kings on the board. There's this rook there. Like this. So we have equal material and it's black to play. First move I'm thinking of is obviously take. King takes. And now I have simply king to h4, right? King over there, tack, 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 and this is, no, wait, rook takes rook, king takes, king to h4, if king to f2, simply king to h2 should be winning, simply, but if king to h4, I have king to d3, I cannot go king to g3 because king to e4 wins, and that's a very important pattern to know. But I can go king to h3. We have king to d3, and now king to g2 forces the king to come back over here to defend the pawn. And now I get the same pattern in reverse. So let me put this on the board. I'll check with the engine in a second, but I'm pretty sure that, well, I'm sure this is it. If king goes over there, you can just come back. Wherever you go, I can gain the opposition, and I will win this pawn and win the game. And in this position, if the king comes over there, I have king to h3, not king to g3, because this is the pattern that's winning, because you're forced to move away from the defense of the pawn. Wherever I go, the king takes this pawn and wins. So instead I have king to h3, king to d4, king g2. I'm attacking the pawn, so white is forced to go king to h4, e4, and king to g3 wins the pawn in the game. Up, something like this. And this is a simple pawn endgame. I'm going to check with the computer anyway, but this one I'm sure of. And if there is nothing wrong, let's move to the next position. This was indeed correct, and so let me put the next position on the board. This is a queen endgame this time, so a heavy piece endgame with some pawns as well. So it might just turn into a pawn endgame really quickly. I'm doing my best not to think about the position while I'm setting it up, but it's somewhat difficult not to think about the moves. Oh, I just put the position in reverse. My bad, sorry. That's just, I forgot to flip the board. So let me just put everything up in the other direction. This pawn is over there, like this. So let me double check. I wouldn't want to make a mistake like that. So black just played this, and it's white to play and win, I assume. We have 4 pawns versus 3, so 1 extra pawn for black. But often it's not about how many pawns you have, but it's about how good your pawns are. I noticed these 2 pawns over there, which have the potential to create a passed pawn. So first thing I'm thinking of is queen takes, pawn takes, king to g1, king f6, a5, king e6, b6, b6, sorry, pawn takes b6, a6, and I'm pretty sure that's winning. So let me check that again. Queen takes, pawn takes. Now if I want to stop this pawn from queening, I need to play king to g1. Now I have a 2-on-1 situation over there, so I'm threatening to promote. So the black king is forced to come to f6. I play a5, king to e6 or e7 doesn't change anything. Now I play b6. If pawn takes, I just play a6, and if the pawn doesn't take, I take the pawn, and I go and I queen. So let me just set it up on the board. I'm stopping this pawn from promoting. If the pawn pushes, I can bring my king over there. Even if the king moves, I just have this. And now important is not to recapture this, but to push. And you can see that after a6, the king is outside of the square. So that's basically it. I'm going to check again, and if there is no problem, I'll move on to the next position. there was indeed no problem. We have a simpler position this time. While king is on e5 with a pawn over there. Oh, I removed the king from the board. This is like the one piece that's always on the board. So why just played king to e5, threatening to win the pawn? If the king takes, we can easily draw, but I'm guessing that's not what we want. If I push the pawn, he pushes, I push, he push, I push, he queens as well. And I don't really have a way to easily win the queen. If my king was on c5, I could go queen to e1, check, force the king over here, and even then it's not, I don't win the queen, because the king can come back at the defense of the queen. So there is no skewer in that position. So I'm taking pawn push, the pawn goes over there, king to d7 just wins. So let me put this on the board. So king d7. And yes, because now I can stop this pawn, but black cannot stop the pawn. So something like this. And I queen, and I win the game. Easy enough. Alright, let's go with one more puzzle, or maybe two. Let's do two, because I have no idea how long the video is, but I'm enjoying it. It's white to play and win, I guess, because you have one extra pawn. Drawing this would be pretty easy. Rook to a6 is the first move to consider, because I can force the trade-off of rooks. King to g4 after this would be a mistake, but king to h4 should be an easy win, because I get the opposition and I get my king in front of the pawn. So check. I don't know where he goes. Check. Not check, but I capture. And here, king to h4, king to g4 would be a mistake, but king to h4 should hold the position. If king over there, simply king to h5, king over there, king to g4, and that's a basic pawn endgame. That's winning. Okay, we have a little bit more pieces on the board for our last position. So that's going to be maybe a little bit more interesting. I don't know. It depends on the position. At least there is a little bit more assessment to do. More things to calculate. There is one rook. Black just played this move, rook to e4. It's 3 pawns versus 3, but white has an extra knight. Rook to e4. Interesting move. We are threatening to promote over there, but if I push on b7, rook to a4, I could take this pawn to protect this pawn and try and bring my king in, but in the meantime black can come over there and I might end up winning the rook, but black would at least win the 2 pawns, and you cannot checkmate with a knight alone, so I would need to keep at least 1 pawn, plus there is this threat of queening over here. I can also maybe take this immediately, but again, rook to b4, I know b7 is kind of forced. So this is an interesting one. Again, I think it has to be either b7 or knight takes. I don't see any other move winning. Question is which one and why? Maybe after this, I don't know. I was going to say maybe there is some rook to e8, but absolutely not. Simply b7, rook b4, knight takes. Can I bring my king in? King over there, king d6, king there, king c6 maybe, or c7. I know it's important for the rook to sacrifice itself immediately, otherwise I might have knight to b6 as an interpol. So let me just put this on the board to show you. Pawn there. Tack. I would take this pawn, and my idea is something like this. And if you take this, I can. Oh, I said the intermezzo, but not. So I would have this move rather. So now you're forced to take this pawn, because if you take over there, I would have this. Now you can push. I promote. You promote. That's a messy position. I'm not sure that's any good. So I don't think that's it. So let's put the position back and let's try and think about what I could be doing. Knight takes d6. Rook to b4 seems very logical. And now I would be forced to move this pawn. b7 first, rook to b4. I think loses. I'm not entirely sure. But now I'm forced to take over there and I don't see the continuation. Because also you have the knight in the worst possible position with the rook. So the knight can never threaten the rook. If I tried something like knight to e7, rook comes over there anyway, but now I have knight to b5. So that's an idea. Knight to e7, king cannot come over there, the rook cannot come over there because I would take, so I'm threatening to push, but you have maybe rook to e3, the knight check, king can, I don't know, go to e5, king over there, rook anyway. That's getting a little messy. b7, rook a4, knight to b6 does not seem like it works either, because you can just take the knight. Cannot really move my king forwards. h4, king g4, so that does not work either. So I'm pretty sure, based on all of that the move is knight to e7. But I don't exactly know what the follow-up is. I think that's what I need to figure out. Or maybe there is something either with knight takes or pawn takes that I missed. But knight e7 looks like a more promising move, based on my observations. Because knight to e7, I'm threatening to push. So you need to answer that. Maybe immediately the king over there, but that does not change anything because there is still the fork. So that's good. So knight to e7, rook to e2. Maybe I have this knight check, king to e4. Knight check, king goes over there. That seems very difficult, but there might be something. Knight to e7, rook to e2 is the move I'm considering. Is there a fork between these two squares? Yes, there is, but it's not accessible. in time, because it would take me at least 3 moves, because it's on an opposite color square. So knight to e7, rook to e2. Let me put this on the board. There might be other moves than rook to e2 as well, but that's the first move I'm considering. If I push, king goes over there, so that does not work. Right now this pawn is semi-protected, because there would be a fork, but that could easily change. Knight to d5 forces the king to... Oh, I'm stupid. That's something I didn't see from a distance. Knight to d5 forces king to e4, and now there is knight to e3 that picks up the rook and wins the game. So in this position, let's try to see if there are other moves, maybe for black. Maybe going all the way over there. Rook to e1. Now what? Now this doesn't work anymore, does it? Knight check, king goes over there. If my knight goes... there would be some fucking potential between these two squares. So knight check, king over there. My knight is over there, and I would need to get all the way there, which is not possible. 2 moves. This is a bad square for the knight. So like 95, king to e4. This pawn is protected, so maybe now I have some time to bring the king in, take this, put my knight in front. Something like king to e6. King. Rook to b1, king takes, king to c5. Oh no, because king takes, there is rook d1, but now I can push, and if you take this, I can go king to c6. So that would be okay, even though I lose the knight, I can promote. So I think that's the move is actually king to e6, stepping into the way of the king. King to e6, king there, king takes, and now over something like this, rook takes, king goes over there. I need to be really careful. The rook has sacrificed itself, so there is no more things over there. I don't really have king to e5. I don't have... Oh, I have knight f4, defending the pawn. So that should be good enough. So let's go back into the initial position and play that with the computer and see if that's the correct sequence. I also did not really analyze other moves, but I think that should be enough. If the rook does not come over there, I can just push. So black has to try something, and this is the best shot. This would take too long. So we have this move, which I did not consider. There is no knight to g6 because of the pawn takes. If I push the pawn, well, I cannot push the pawn, because now there would be rook to g5, and this does not work. So b7, rook b5, and knight check anyway. If the rook takes, I can promote. If the king moves over there, no, I can wait. So knight, no, b7, rook b5, and knight to d5, check, king to e4, I promote, rook takes, and that does not work. But there are some ideas over there. What else? Right now this pawn is indirectly protected by this fork. So what can I do? b7? Anyway? Rook b5? Check. King goes over there. And I'm in a really, again, the terrible situation. When the knight is separated from these many squares, it takes way too long to go over there. And I cannot promote because there are no checks. No forks. So let's come back and see what I can do. Knight to e6, rook to b5, does not work. Maybe h4, simply waiting move. Rook b5, h5, does not do much. This doesn't work because I would lose the knight. He's also threatening to push his own pawn, but not just yet. But if he plays rook to b5, he can promote his own pawn. So I cannot just wait. I need to do something. I have no idea what the move is. b7, rook b5, knight check, king goes over there, now I have knight c3 that I missed. So we have rook to b5, knight check, and indeed I have the fork over there, and I win the rook, and then I promote. A lot of forks. Alright, this one was a tricky one actually. It looked a little simple, but it took me a while to figure it out. So with this done, I really hope you enjoyed the position. And I also hope you enjoyed the soft speaking. I was whispering in all of my videos so far. A lot of people have asked me to do this kind of soft speaking thing. I'm not really sure about it. I'm not liking my soft speaking voice very much. And I don't think I'm really good at it. But let me know what you thought of it, if you made it up all this way into the video. And if you did, thank you very much for still being there. That means a lot to me. And on that note, I wish you a good day, a good evening, and even a good night. Bye bye.